Hi, Happy New Year and all that. This is not going to be one of those videos where I talk about what I'm going to do new in this year, what's going to change, what you should do to make your life more beneficial. No, this is just another one of my Monday musings. It's a simple video, just me talking about the things that have been on my mind and having a little more of a free-flowing connection to you without edits. So, one thing that's been on my mind has been how we are operating in this modern world. This modern world is very much mind focused. It's very much cerebral and planning and forebrained. And I think consequent to that, there's been a romanticization of the ancient life that we used to live. And I'm wondering why, because back then there was a lot more disease, there was a lot more tragedy, there wasn't all of the benefits of modern medicine, for example, which of course has its flaws, but that's the point of this, is that there's flaws in everything. We can't go to extremes and say that we want to return back to living in the jungles and simply having communes which we just frolic and indulge in life's pleasures, because we're starting to see now that that's not exactly supportive of a whole fulfilling life. I think human beings need purpose. We need something to strive for. We need to be actively engaged in changing the world around us. At least that's what I'm finding from everything that I'm reading and my own personal experience. So, how do we bridge the gap between these two worlds? This idealized, romantic, ancient world where we all lived in harmony and balance, and this modern world where we have technology changing and transforming our lives, a lot of the times for the better, spreading information and knowledge and science, but also putting us into this very cerebral brain where I think lie a lot of benefits, but of course, a lot of our humanity is being lost. And what do I mean by humanity? Well, I'm thinking about what makes us human. What is it? And of course, that's never going to be solved. That's never going to be truly figured out, because there's always going to be something beyond our knowledge. There's always going to be changes. But intuition and instinct are definitely sublimated nowadays by this active science-minded right left brain, where we're analytical and we're mindful of ideas and planning and forethought, and we are, in a way, we're finding these systems that we're in right now are lacking, and so we're vilifying that side of the mind. A lot of people at least view it as something to retract from, and that's been happening, I guess you could say, since the '60s, and we're recognizing how much war and human development is ruining the world around us. Yes, however, throwing it all away is not the answer, because it's given us so much. Like, there are so many diseases now which we do not have to worry about, partly because we've adapted to them, but that's besides the point. We now know so much more. And this world is incredible. I'm reaching you wherever you are, and all I have to do is take advantage of all the systems in science and development and progress that we've made as a species, taking advantage of the minds that have put together this incredible camera that's capturing digitally what I'm saying, both with audio and visual, and transporting it through a incredibly robust and hardy and interconnected system of the internet to reach you and communicate my thoughts, which I got from a book or from personal experience that was grabbed from the teachings of somebody else who put their ideas into a page that I read and transformed with my mind. Okay, so that's beautiful. That carrying forward of thoughts. It does carry a lot of issues with it. Primarily this: being so forwardly activated in our minds, being so stimulated in the forebrain, planning and doing science, practicing science and medicine. These are all very active forebrain thoughts, and they're very taxing on the system, because the mind the brain, for its mass, is the most labor-intensive and energy-intensive organ or system in the body, which is often why thoughts, um, activities that require a lot of thought, very mind-intensive activities, take as much energy as physically intensive activities, oftentimes. However, that also brings with it this stress chemical called cortisol because we're stimulating so much, we're expending so much energy. It's a very active process, right? Creating ideas, thinking, um, and manufacturing new systems of thought and new philosophies, enacting those. That's a very labor-intensive process, like I said, and it activates um, the active side of the nervous system, the very adrenalized system. I'm not saying adrenaline is active in this. I'm just saying that's involved in the same system because it's so active. Adding to that, that a lot of my best ideas were when I was resting and digesting, when I was simply maybe at a meal or on a walk with the dog, or I was just idly moving through my life, or maybe even doing something that was totally unrelated. That was allowing the idea time to ferment. That already goes to show me that these thoughts, this active go-getting, isn't the ideal answer, besides everything that I've already named. So bridging these two would be like putting the whole piece together, the left brain and the right brain together. That, to me, would be a great way to live. At least, I think maybe that's what we're looking for. Because then we're more in the harmonious state that our ancestors, a lot of people believe we're in more of the time because we were collaborating, we were communing, we weren't as stressed, is the idealized frame. I admit that. But it is true that they lived more in harmony with nature. And I think our nature is a creative force. It's a creative force for good, making love, making art, making science, making developments into the future. These things are all creative. And to do that, I think we're not only supposed to be in that analytical mind. So how do we bridge these two? We need a tool. We need some way where we can reduce the amount of stress, the amount of forebrain activity, which comes which what comes with that is a lot of action, forward momentum, activity, and enter into that state of right brain rest and digest and creative flow. I think a lot of people romanticize going off into the woods and just being celibate, being a monk. At least I think a lot of the nature and the quality of the ideals we have go along with that. Being non-combative, being non-involved. But if we want to change this world, we can't do that. We can't just go off and expect it to be fixed. We have to be actively involved in that. But like I said, being too forward-brained is not exactly the answer. So how do we get into that flow state? Well, part of it, I think, is having something other that we ourselves are connected to passionately. That drives us, that keeps us inspired, keeps our juices flowing, our energy up. And when I say our, I mean this is what I'm experiencing, and it goes along well with what I think a lot of us will experience. It goes along well with what I've read, though I can't give you references, but these videos are exactly for that point, is to not um, necessarily have to present all of my sources. I would like to focus on those things. If you put them in the comments, what you would like more proof of, evidence of, I'm more than happy to look deeper into it because then I'll know that you want a little bit more of a backing to that. Then I'll be able to connect the two. But there's just so much that I'm trying to keep my thoughts up. So this is the purpose of that, just to keep my thoughts moving through and it be in that flow. So how do we be in that flow? There's only one tool that I found that bridges the two minds. And that's why I'm relating so much more to my breath, is because that tool itself is an untapped reserve of incredible power, of transformation and harmonizing both sides of the brain. We're able to change our state of mind, our state of being entirely by accessing our nervous system through our breath. And that is not something that any of us were taught about. We've seen it maybe in anger management. When people reference anger management, they say, "Oh, take 10 deep breaths and you'll calm down." That's massive. And that's just scratching the surface. If we learn how to use our breath more, if we understand it better and we use it better for the rest of our lives, who knows how we can transform the way we work? That's going to stress less the body because the lungs are going to be working properly to extract the amount of oxygen they need. And so other organs and other systems, glands in the body aren't going to be overstressed. I believe that's going to reduce cancer rates. It's just one component, of course. But just think about it. Less stress on the body, less stress on the mind, more harmony between so many more systems within yourself and without yourself as well. You're able to balance your breath, you're able to balance your mind. These two things work so well together because they're so closely tied together. So I think if we manage our breath more, we're able to transform ourselves from that completely forebrained uh, mental side without losing all of those benefits. We're able to be more mindful while we're being creative. We're just able to be more human in that way because we're more whole. So, though I don't know what being human is or humanity means exactly, and I never will know fully, I think that's a big part of what we can do to balance out this world without having to burn it all down because it's not all bad. We stand at this immensely powerful point in human history where we're learning the problems, but we're also learning so many more solutions about how to transform the foundational aspect of how we all make a change in this world. And that is the mind and the body and the breath all together, along with other tools, of course. But the breath at the nexus. We start with ourselves and then we transform the world from without. I've seen it happen for myself, and I would love it if just more people would explore their power within so they can manage the chaos and the challenges without and conquer more of that unknown that we all sit within, which is nature. So I hope that this brought you a little bit of insight. I hope that it maybe sparked something within your mind. Please, like I said, if you want to clarify anything else, if you would like me to go into anything else that I talked about or anything that's coming to mind for you, please leave it in the comments and I would endeavor to put that on my list of videos that I have to make, which is quite long. But it's fascinating. One thing I did talk about was how inspiration is effective in bringing us more in line with our humanity and guiding us. That video is linked here at the end. Check that out about my thoughts to discover what I've learned about inspiration and how I think it would guide us forward into a more harmonious future. Thank you. I love you. Be well. Much love.